politics is often said to be the slave of economics. John Maynard Keynes indeed said that practical men who believe themselves divorced from any economic teaching are themselves the slaves of some defunct economists. F.A. Hayek said that the important lesson of economics is to teach people, and particularly leaders, how little they know about what they think they can design. So these two confident economists could confidently say during the 20th century that economics had primacy over politics. Well, during the 20th century, we experienced the Keynesian model, in one sense in Britain under Attlee and even under Churchill, from the change from military Keynesianism to civil Keynesianism, from the change from World War II to the post-war period, and the eventual bringing about of social democracy within Britain. It's arguable to say that before the Second World War, Britain was not a true democracy. It was an empire. Now, as we said about the primacy of economics, another man, Adolf Hitler, said that his role was to subordinate economics to politics. Yet he too, just as Churchill and Attlee did, took a militaristic Keynesian model as his way forward. What does this say about the two branches of socialism, in my view, that being social democracy and National Socialism, and also communism, which was the third branch? It shows that all three took a primacy of central planning over political considerations during the Second World War because of the needs of war. As I said in my series, Third Reich Economics. But the problem is the primacy of economics over politics can be extremely divisive. As we've seen with the American almost shutdown of the American government because of differences between Republicans and Democrats, being that they are social democrats in the United States as well, and also between how we're going to deal with the debt crisis in Greece. The primacy of economics over politics is complete. The primacy of economics says that Greece needs to cut and increase its private economy, private sector economy, over its public economy. But so we can clearly see on the most extreme right or conservative wing is Thatcherism, and that is about the complete domination of the market over individuals. And on the extreme left we have communism, which is about the complete control of the individual through central planning. But in the middle somewhere is social democracy and pan-European nationalism, and yet they may be said to have been mortal enemies, especially during World War II. Pan-European nationalism, however, has developed beyond National Socialism, where the Third Reich attempted to create a European consensus within its conquered territories to include, say, Norwegians, Danes, Swedes, and the Nordic and Celtic peoples, broadly speaking, as well as the Romanic peoples, the French and Italians, into an empire which was dominated by by Deutschland, the German nation. This, however, was of course warped because it excluded Slavic people and it exterminated Jewish people during its reign of terror in Europe. Afterwards, after the Second World War, there was a general consensus that this should never happen again. But we should learn some key lessons from National Socialist era, and that was that Adolf Hitler didn't see himself as left or right. He saw himself in the middle. He said there must not be any good over private good. Private good must be subordinate to public good. There must be some competition, but the state's role is to guarantee that the rights of individuals are not destroyed by competition and monopolies of different corporations. Instead, the state would have the monopoly over power, and all corporations must put their own private interest subordinate to the public interest, the national interest of the state. There are some common threads thus between National Socialism and social democracy. Any of those phrases would be seen as similar in the broadest terms, with a common socialist thread. Also, all land within the German Reich was said to be owned by the state, or for the benefit of the nation, so that any land that's used by capitalists for their own purpose and then left to waste, thus unobtainable surplus, as I would put it today, would be seized by the state and put to good use by the state for the state's own resources. So the land, in economic terms, would be the space and any resources within the land or above the land, so to speak. Now the problem is, because of the terrible atrocities that the Nazis did during the Second World War, is the left-right schism. And now most European nationalists, in the terms of conservative nationalism, I make the distinction between pan-European nationalists, are for the leaving of the EU and also the destruction of social democracy, which I am against. Now, when you divide it into this left-right spectrum, it is very easy to divide public opinion to the point where you can play either side off against the other, so that they come to a mutual conclusion which isn't of their own making. Whether this is through some sort of conspiracy or which I do not believe, or some manipulation or community of interest between different power groups, is debatable. I believe the latter is probably the most realistic point to take. Different power groups have a vested interest in the left-right divide, but throw pan-European nationalism in to the mix, then you come to powerful statements being made about the division of left and right, because being overcome. Angela Merkel, for instance, and David Cameron are centralists. Well, they may clothe themselves in conservative garb, but they are centralists. Yet they have said that multiculturalism is dead. What we need to do is make a distinction between social democracy and multiculturalism. Social democracy works. There is a point of maximum social benefit when the indices between production and social benefit intercede in economic terms. What does that mean in politics?